Hello, boys and girls. Thank you for joining me again, Mrs. Johnston, for our knowledge read aloud and our science lesson. We are still working on the unit of plants. So, we are going to review or go over some of the things that we have already learned. Remember, plants have many different parts. Can you name some of the parts we have learned about? Did you state roots? Maybe your response was the stems, branches, leaves, flowers, and seeds. Those are all parts of a plant that we have already learned about. Today, you are going to learn more about flowers. Many animals, like flowers, are just like people, too. You are going to hear about a special guest today, Polly the honeybee. Polly loves flowers. What part of the plant are flowers? Did you say that flowers are part of a plant? If you did, well done. Great job. You have been listening. Listen carefully today to our read aloud to learn more about how Polly and her honeybee friends help flowers. Hello, my name is Polly, and I am a honeybee. I live in a beehive in a meadow not too far from here. A meadow is a flat area of land that is usually covered with grass and flowers. Your teacher asked me to come here today to tell you more about flowers, my favorite part of plants. As you have learned, flowers contain seeds, and seeds can grow into new plants. I am delighted to come and tell you about flowers because flowers are one of my favorite things in the whole world. The meadow near my beehive is full of all different kinds of flowers that come in many different colors. Earlier today, I visited a particularly delicious yellow flower. Come along and I'll show it to you. Why might Polly describe a flower as delicious? Was your response because Polly eats flowers? Let's see if you were right. Here's the flower I was telling you about. Do you see this ring of bright yellow parts around the flower? Those are called petals. The petals look like brightly colored leaves. The petals are the parts of the flower that grab my attention when I'm out buzzing around. Once I see a pretty flower, my favorite thing to do is crawl inside the petal into the center of the flower. What's it like to crawl inside a flower like this? Close your eyes and imagine what I describe. Imagine for a minute that you are crawling under the bright yellow blankets of a very comfortable bed. Bright yellow is all around you. Now imagine that you stay under the blankets, drinking the world's tastiest drink through a straw. You are so happy that you wriggle around and get covered with yellow powder that smells great and feels good against your skin. That's what it's like for me when I visit a flower. How does Polly feel when she visits a flower? Did you respond with happy, excited, safe, comfortable? Those were all great examples of things of how Polly feels when she's inside a flower. As far as I'm concerned, the world's tastiest drink is called nectar, which is a sweet juice that plants make. And the yellow powder that I like to rub up against is called pollen. Say the word nectar with me. Nectar. Remember, nectar is the tastiest drink that Polly likes to drink. It's the sweet juice that plants make. Now, can you say the word pollen with me? Pollen. Remember, Polly said pollen is the yellow powder that she likes to rub up against. I find both nectar and pollen inside flowers. And frankly, I'm not sure which one I like better. I visit more than 50 flowers in one outing, sometimes as many as 100. I visit these flowers because we bees get our food from flowers. My job is to fly around and find nectar and pollen, which I gather up and take back to my hive. I have a special pouch inside my body that holds nectar, and there are special hairs on my back legs that form a little basket that I brush pollen into when it's time to take back to my hive. Sometimes my load of pollen and nectar weighs half as much as I do. Do you think it's easy or difficult for a bee to take the nectar and pollen to the hive? Did you say it was easy? Do you think it's easy? Was your response because she's used to this work? That this is what bees do? If you said it was difficult, why did you say it was difficult? Do you think it's difficult because it said it weighs her down? That it's hard work because of the weight and it's heavy? When I get back to the hive, I turn the nectar and pollen over to the worker bees in the hive. They mix the pollen with a little bit of nectar and feed it to the baby bees. Then they fan the rest of the nectar with their wings until most of the water is gone. Nectar with most of the water gone turns into something that both bees and people love. Nectar with most of the water removed is called honey. Here's the honey in my hive. People use honey to sweeten their food, but we bees use honey for food. We keep it in a bunch of little cubbies that we call the honeycomb. I visit flowers to get food, and that's reason enough for me. But it turns out that I am also doing something else besides finding food for myself and the other bees. I am helping the plants reproduce or make more plants in order to make a seed that can develop into a new plant. Most plants need to mix pollen from their own flowers with pollen from other plants that are alike them. For example, A corn plant needs pollen from another corn plant to allow it to make seeds. When pollen from one corn plant lands on another corn plant, something called pollination takes place. Pollination is when pollen from one flower mixes with the pollen of another flower so the plant can make seeds. Pollination is really important because if it doesn't happen, the plant won't be able to make seeds. If there are no seeds, then there will be no new plants. How do plants get pollen from other plants? Plants can't walk around like human beings, and they can't flap their wings and fly like us bees either. Luckily, the pollen grains themselves are very small. They can be blown from one plant to another plant by the wind. So the wind helps pollinate plants so they can make new plants. But bees like me also help pollinate plants. How do my trips from one plant to another help pollinate plants? When I visit a flower and I roll around inside, I pick up a lot of pollen. When I fly onto the next flower, I carry some pollen from other flowers with me, and some of it rubs off on the next flower I visit. That's why I am an excellent pollinator of plants, and that is why they call me Polly the Pollinator. I don't like to brag, but we bees are the most important pollinators in the world. Oh, sure, the wind helps pollinate. And some other insects also carry grains of pollen from one plant to another as they feed. Butterflies do it, so do moths, beetles, and wasps. Some birds, like hummingbirds, are also good pollinators. Bats are good pollinators too, but no other creature pollinates as many flowers as bees do. So let's see if we can remember some of the story that we just heard. Where are the petals in this picture? Did you say that the petals are on the flower? If you did, you remembered a part of the plant. Why do bees visit flowers? Did you say that bees visit flowers because they use nectar and pollen from flowers for food? Maybe you only remembered part of it. If you did, that was still excellent remembering. You remembered the details of the story. So, can you tell me what is nectar? Did you just say that nectar is the sweet juice made by plants? If you did, can you tell me what is pollen? Did you tell me that pollen is the yellow powder made by plants? Great job. We're going to keep going. Can you tell me, how do bees help a plant pollinate or mix its pollen with another plant? Did you say all or part of this? When bees visit another plant, some of the pollen bees carry from the first plant rubs off onto the second plant. Great listening. Good job participating with our questions. Why is pollination important? What would happen if pollination didn't occur? Pollination is important because plants need pollen from other plants in order to make seeds. And if there are no new seeds, then no new plant can grow. I hope you enjoyed our story and Polly taking us through why she loves flowers and what she does to help pollinate flowers.